Hi, welcome to Gear Garage. My name is Zach, and this is my silly little internet show about whitewater things. And today I want to talk about a raft guide quiz that I've been putting together, why I did it, who it's for. Just kind of talk about that a little bit. And this project started about a year ago when I took an International Rafting Federation guide and trip leader course. And I did that because we teach a lot of rowing instruction, and I really wanted some certification behind myself and our instructors just to kind of get us like up to a certain level that I was happy with. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but I really just felt like we've been doing so much education that we needed some sort of certification as instructors as we're continuing teaching education. Now this education is mostly for private boaters, which is a little bit different beast, but I still felt that continuing education is important. And in part of this course we had to take a written test. And I was like very frustrated with the test. I felt like the answers were nuanced. I felt like it depended, and the same thing people are saying about my quiz. I just was like, this quiz isn't very well done. I can do better than this. So I've been trying, and it turns out it's hard. It's hard to write a quiz about raft guiding. You can make really easy answers, but there's no, almost anybody could pass, which maybe is the right thing, but I want to create some challenging questions and things that kind of create discussion. That's where education comes from. And so I've attempted to start this quiz, and I did a first draft and I put it on the internet, and I shared it on Facebook last night. And thank you to everybody who's taken the test and given me feedback. And I've gotten people feedback that's basically between you did okay, keep up the good work, to this is terrible. And I get it. And so I want to talk a little bit about the quiz, who it's for, and two of my favorite comments I want to read because I think they're very instructive. The first one is ridiculous, as if it was written by a non-boating fool who has no experience nor any sense of reality. So that was maybe one of the worst comments. The one that actually got me thinking the most was, I'm curious who the intended audience is. Most of these questions are it depends answers based on the type of trip, stretch of river, experience level of the guide, and mentorship of the company culture. First-time guides in a more day guide setting probably won't do well with the nuance, and seasoned guides will be able to argue most answers depending on context. Just food for thought. And I think I want to address who the audience is, I think. First of all, this isn't really intended for private boaters. There's stuff in here that kind of doesn't apply to private boaters, kind of does. This is really intended for the average river guide, right? So if you look at guides all over the country and all over the world, the average person's guiding class 2, class 3. So this isn't quite intended for the Cherry Creek guide. It's definitely not intended for a Grand Canyon guide. It's definitely not intended for a super experienced guide necessarily. Although I think there's some super experienced guides that maybe aren't as knowledgeable as they think, including me. I know that when I took the IRF course last year, I learned a ton and changed my opinions about a lot of topics based on just some really good discussions and then facts presented to me that were pretty interesting. So, I think I want to create a new International Rafting Federation quiz. And the goal is so that maybe we have a base set of standards for information and guiding. And it doesn't mean that they're all right for every river, because that's impossible, but that's better than nothing. If we're all just every river, every operation is kind of doing their own thing and they're training each other, you're basically breathing in your own fumes as an organization. You're never getting outside influence. You're never getting new learning. So I feel like we need to have some sort of standard we all sort of agree on for guiding. And in the U.S., the American Canoe Association is trying that. I've seen some of their stuff, and it's okay. But I've been really impressed personally with the International Rafting Federation and what they're trying to do. I think there's a lot of really smart people there trying really hard as volunteers to create curriculums and standards. And it turns out they've debated all this stuff quite a lot. And it's a lot of, again, like I said, it's very intelligent people, a lot of experience trying to put these standards in front of us. And so I'm trying to use them more and more. Some I'm super good with, some I disagree with. I love the clean land principle. I love not using ropes, having loose ropes everywhere. As a multi-day guide, I recognize that's maybe impossible. Like, I'm not sure how you can rig a gear boat using the clean land principle, but the idea of the clean land principle makes me pay more attention to my rig, so it gets better. And I think that that's sort of a similar thing to the rest of these things. Another good example in the quiz, which you should take. If you haven't taken it yet and you're also watching this, press pause. I'll put a link down in the notes section below. Just take the quiz so you know what's going on. And then be annoyed with me, come back, leave a comment about it in this comment section if you want. But in there, I ask how long a safety talk should be. And the answers are 10 minutes, 20 minutes, however long it takes to get the information across, and some other answer. And it's an IRF guideline that this should be 10 minutes. And before the IRF course, I was like, however long it takes to get the information across. My thinking with that question is sometimes some companies, and mine included, in the past, have expected guides to share too much information in safety talks. And so I feel like there's a certain amount of time where a guide has talked for so long with people potentially standing in the sun, excited to not stand there anymore and go do something, where you lose them. And I've always juggled with what that amount of time is. And I'm starting to believe that the amount of time is 10 minutes. And I'm starting to believe that some guides who only give safety talks 5 times a year, which is a lot of you, don't have a really refined safety talk. And so I think most of us can actually get our safety talk down to 10 minutes, right? Because after 10 minutes, you're gonna lose people. So you need to figure out what's critical for your river and get that information across in an effective manner. Now, if it goes 15 and the people are laughing and they're enthralled, awesome, right? If it takes half an hour and they're engaged in getting the information, you're a winner. But when I think of like a river guide, some 21-year-old first-time trip leader working a river in California, they're kind of nervous. You don't want them to give a 30-minute awkward safety talk. And those talks happen. And so I think that a goal would be a 10-minute safety talk. Now, again, it may not be reachable, maybe not possible in the Grand Canyon, maybe not possible in Cherry Creek, but I think it's a good standard to attempt to do a 10-minute safety talk. So I've been blathering on my safety talks because I've been a lot of flack about that one. But it's also important everything gets across, whatever everything is. So I'm rewording that question, but I think a good International Rafting Federation standard is to shorten the talks to make them more effective. And I think effective is more important than long. So anyway, that's an example. And so again, the intended audience is like an average river guide. And the idea is to replace this International Rafting Federation quiz for the course with this one I'm trying to do. And so I've done a first round. I've learned a lot from your comments, so thank you. I'm going to rewrite this, put a new one out here in a week or two. So if you've taken the quiz and you have comments, I've heard a lot of good ones, but if you have more, please pass them on. Add them down in the comment section below. I'd also like to hear new questions. If you have an idea for a question, I'd love to try it out. And what I'll do is I'll do a new draft of the quiz. I'll put it out there for people to take and give me more feedback about. Maybe at some point we can maybe get like 60-70% agreement on certain questions, maybe even 90%, who knows, on some questions about river guiding for this quiz. So hopefully that clears up some of the thinking, the thoughts. This has been a fun project for me. It's been way more challenging than I thought, and I hope to have more discussions about some of the nuances on future episodes of the show. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.